Everybody around us is going to get the flu.
Hi guys, welcome to another playthrough. Gonna do a story mission this time, see if it adds up. Tried it a few times already and there's something wrong with it. It may be a bug or something, I'm not sure. Let's try it again, see what happens. Okay. We got two guys, Healer, Captain, or my guy, the hero, Captain America.
This was reported
They
by
could
the
go play, but he's injured.
Then the United States government, based on their statements that they've already made, will say, oh my,
Spider-Man
we have a
too.
pandemic.
People lining up, sometimes by the hundreds, for an H1N1 flu shot.
What that means is a Holocaust, a genocidal Holocaust. Men and women will sicken and die, and those who survive will be infertile.
If people start dying massively from these inoculations,
Only for 2 turns?
won't
Okay,
there be
Spider-Man.
like a revolution, a rebellion, a rising up from the peasants?
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order.
Get 3 of
It's
them now.
Alex Jones.
All right, so based off the activity I've seen so far today, I expect Kevin McCarthy will lose a 12th straight vote. And you know what's interesting about this process now, as we're on day 4 of it, is not just the futility that we continue to see exercised. We understand that now. What's interesting is we started to yesterday get a better idea into what the major issues were as far as why the holdout.
Where's my outfit?
for McCarthy. So we're going to get into that here in a second. But what's odd is that's not getting the focus of all of these
This
speeches on the floor, and of all of these speeches trying to say why we need McCarthy or don't, or people just taking the stand to make their own points. Nobody's really getting into the issues of the matter, which is odd to me. And even when they go on TV, many are not really discussing the
Oh, that's
issues
a nice
either.
one too. Let's get this.
I don't understand that,
Use this one.
but that has been the case. And while the Republican holdouts have still, with another night, all been on message, all been on point, all been unwavering, all been effective, the one thing I think that's lacking
Alex way
here
better.
is a proper
Captain Man.
explanation of why they're
Hey, Magic.
When you get an explanation into that, I think it'll
right
make
into
more
the heart of
sense.
Transia.
And so
Don't let
I was
crossbows
looking into
turn
that
those
yesterday,
poor
and I have a
people
better
into
idea now
shields.
of what is
I'm
the
getting angry
situation.
just thinking about it. Rumlow's got
Let's
to be
start
stopped.
with
We have a shot here at
2 of
finally
them
bringing
that are
him
extremely
in. Do
important.
not let him get away.
And these are Pelosi rules, by the way, that Pelosi made. And one is a single member of the House can step up and basically has the power to remove the Speaker of the House. And Pelosi changed that. That rule had been in for a while. Pelosi changed that, so I think that it had to be 4, or I don't remember the exact number. Pelosi basically made it a lot harder to get an ouster of the Speaker. Well, of course Pelosi wants that. She likes centralized power, and she knew she had the gavel, and she wanted to make sure she maintained it, especially considering the heat that was put on her from AOC and the squad ahead of the vote for Speaker, where they were going to do a little holdout like this, but basically they caved before it went down. Then Pelosi made the rule so that not a single one of them could stand up and have Pelosi removed. But it makes sense, doesn't it? If the Speaker of the House is no longer doing the will of the Republican Party, or the Speaker of the House has got out of line, or the Speaker of the House isn't doing the will of the people, then one person can step up and have the ouster begin.
This is
How does
mercy
McCarthy want
compared
that?
to what's coming next.
That's pretty
Besides,
important.
I wasn't talking
Here's
to
another
you.
one.
You want to dance with someone,
from
Rumlow?
getting involved
Dance
in
with me.
primary funding. Why wasn't
About friggin' time!
Then you realize how obvious it is why they don't want that to stop. Why would the Republican Party want to be involved in the
Okay, the first part I got past, so no big
primary
deal.
so desperately?
This is the easy part, which is
Isn't
fine.
it obvious? Didn't we just see why
intent on taking
in the
the locals
midterms?
down with it.
Because
You can always
they
count
get
on
through the
Captain
primary
Boys down
process,
his
they
posse
can
to
make
come running.
sure
Anytime they're
that people,
screaming, nobody's
they
to
hope,
rescue.
like people like Joe
I'm
Kent
not
and
about to
others
stand
can't
by
even
and
get
let
past
you
the
kill
primary
these people,
process.
Rumlow.
So the Republicans
Good.
will get to
I was hoping to
hand
get you
pick
riled up.
from the very beginning who they want in office with their funding. So, if you have two candidates coming up, let's say in Washington, like Joe Kent, it's a damn shame we don't have Congressman Joe Kent. Keep that trend continuing. So the Republicans can come in and they can say, okay, here's the primary process. Who's going to do our bidding? Who's going to cave to our will? Who can we control? And when they have that answer, or they'll just select their person and insert them into any race they want, and then they have the power of the purse of their hundreds of millions of dollars, which they all brag about Kevin McCarthy raising. Every time, whether it's Dan Crenshaw or all these other people that go on television and tell you how great McCarthy is, they can only say one thing, and that's how much money he raises. What does that do for you at home? Just curious.
I'm on it.
Raising a bunch of money for you really care about that? Is that your biggest priority? Not saying it's not important.
A change in their approach.
But so that's what the Republican Party wants. They want to be able to control the primary process. And so you may notice this. The nice way of going after politicians you don't like, and it's probably the more professional way. And sometimes I slip off on this, and you know, I'll resort to name calling and insults, and I try not to do that. But you know, you get with a guy like Dan Crenshaw, you can't help yourself. But the polite professional way is to say, okay, we're going to primary you, right? Instead of just coming out and saying, Dan Crenshaw, this guy sucks. That's Patch McCain. You just say, wow, Dan, you've really embarrassed yourself, and you've really shown the people that you don't care about the country, and you care more about the DC establishment and elites. We're going to primary you. Well, that's a threat, because in the primary process, there's more of a level playing field. But if the Republicans are involved in the financing of it, well, then all of a sudden one guy can get $10 million in the primary process, and then the other guy or gal is forced to do fundraising on their own, which is obviously a lot more to get the millions of dollars in fundraising. So in the primary process, if you know you've got millions of dollars from the Republicans on your campaign, they'll pay for all your ads, they'll pay for all your events, and you don't even have to worry about campaign fundraising. See why that's so important? Why won't McCarthy concede on that? Because he loves the power of the purse. He gets all the DC elite money. He wants the ability to dole it out as he sees
Yo,
fit.
294. Quite a bit.
Making me mad.
Then they don't care because they don't
Vitamin's gonna be next to death.
They don't want to. He would be probably another holdout against McCarthy. So you see how that works? They don't want to vote on term limits. This is a more minor issue to me, quite frankly. I think it goes both ways. I can see why term limits are a good thing. You look at someone like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, there's your argument for term limits. But it goes both ways.
We already knew
Look at
you were a
Rand Paul.
coward, Rumlow. What are you trying to prove by hurting me?
You want Rand Paul to not be
I
able to
don't
keep
need to prove
running and getting
anything
into
to you.
office?
I
Not to
just
mention,
like watching a bunch of so-called
if you have term
heroes
limits,
squirm.
who ends up really running
will
things in
answer for
Congress?
these
Well, a lot of
crimes,
these
one way
staffers.
or
The staffers can be there for decades and decades. And some of these new people get in,
Over here.
and if you don't have anybody there that's long in the tooth, you're kind of looking around for help, maybe not knowing what to do, and then the staffers end up running everything. So I think that's a given thing. They also want a stricter border.
I have cleared
They want
one
a
of the
fair
innocents.
tax act. And then the other big one is balanced budget is what they say. But really, here's the practical exercise. It's that they want new rules when it comes to these bills so that basically you can't have a bill land on your desk with 48 hours left to approve it. So they're going to get rid of that. And I don't know, they haven't really proposed an exact time, but I mean, really, the number should be, it should be a 2-week minimum.
Proceeding.
If you're going to put a bill on my desk. Plus, they want single issue appropriations bills as well. So this massive bill doesn't come out with 100 things on it.
My turn next.
Hello, I am Kintamon, the Communist Chinese Dragon. Telling all of you who have done a good job. Do not support InfoWars.com. Do not be part of their year-end fundraiser. Do not go to InfoWarsStore.com and make donation, and do not get products that boost your immune system. Drink fluoride, take fentanyl, and die. Again, do not be part of the end of your fundraiser at InfoWars
How
Store.
many fights over the years? I think I lost count.
If I had known it would have come to this, I would have made sure to finish the job last time.
I have freed one of the
by the
civilians.
World Health Organization.
There's been over a 20-to-1 return.
If you had put that money into an S&P 500 and reinvested the dividends, you'd come up with something like $17 billion, but you think it's $200 billion.
Here, yeah.
You're okay. You're not gonna get
like it's up to me.
These vaccines are highly, highly effective.
Vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
They're really, really good against variants.
Everyone who takes the vaccine is not just protecting themselves, but reducing their transmission to other people and allowing society to get back to normal.
Get your first shot, and when you're due for your second, get your second shot.
Our key goal is to stop the transmission, to get the immunity levels up so that you get almost no infection going on.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
If you're vaccinated, you're not going to be hospitalized, you're not going to be in an ICU unit, and you're not going to die. If you are fully vaccinated,
private who failed
you no longer need to wear a mask.
Anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing.
But what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission.
We have vaccines that block transmission.
No change of plans.
We got vaccines that help you with your health, but they only slightly reduce it. We need a new way of doing the vaccine.
The level of virus in the nasopharynx of a person vaccinated and infected is the same level as the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an unvaccinated person.
Reports from our international colleagues
Oh, there goes the healer.
suggest increased risk of severe disease amongst those vaccinated early.
And which is always
There's
been
two of
a
them.
month to a month and a half ahead of us. They have seen a waning of immunity, not only against infection, but against hospitalizations, and to some extent, the booster might actually be an essential part of the primary regimen that people should have.
Plan is for every adult to get a booster.
I'm really one of the most investments I've ever been involved in.
This is Oda from CCP and ZPN. Do not go to InfoWarsStore.com. Do not fund that video. Shut up, Americans, and die. Do not visit InfoWarsStore.com. Do not.
Here comes the introducing InfoWars MD. Exclusively available. InfoWarsStore.com. Massive savings.
Maybe put some ice on that.
I want you to remember two words.
Do I want to know what was in there?
InfoWars Platinum. InfoWars Platinum. Now available at InfoWarsStore.com.
Just what I need.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Forever in service.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want to stop tyranny? Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
And your host, Owen. Isn't that really what it's all about? We're sick of government lies, we're sick of government corruption. Same thing with the media. Use itself as the government.
You are going to talk.
It does. I mean, can't you see that by the arrogance that they go on TV at night? You better vote McCarthy. like it's a hostage situation, when nobody wants McCarthy. You talk to the average American that votes Republican, you talk to the average conservative, nobody wants McCarthy. Only the swamp, only the deep state. And now we know why. Because it's tyranny, it's centralized power. They want Kevin McCarthy to have centralized power without the ability to remove him. He's not
Oh no, wrong one.
the ability to put a 1,000-page bill on your desk and you get one night to read it with 100 different issues in it, vote it and pass it, and then the one issue and it's like funding veterans or something, and then if you don't vote for it, they say, look, he hates veterans. So they want one-issue bills, one vote, one-issue bills. They want time to read gigantic spending bills. They want to get the Republican Party and all the big money out of the primary process for a more fair primary process so we can primary swamp creatures like Dan Crenshaw, who really disgraced himself this week. As if, I mean, he was already like hanging by a thread. Just hanging by a thread of support from the conservative Republican community. That's all gone now. He's completely broke. And so, I hope I did a good job in this segment laying out the issues that the holdouts have. In case I didn't do a good enough job, Matt Gaetz has just stepped up to the podium, and he is speaking right now. And so here is Matt Gaetz explaining why I suspect the 20 holdouts will once again not vote. Here it is.
Several believe that one earns the position of Speaker by raising enormous sums of money, and there is no doubt that the individual that is the LeBron James of special interest fundraising in this town. There is nobody better, but I would suggest that there are qualifications for Speaker that are far more important. There are attributes that are far more important. Jim Jordan has those, and I am submitting his name for nomination at this time. I heard my colleague from California, Mr. Garcia, say that he does not agree more with that assessment. Mr. Jordan, indeed, is reflective of pure selfless. I don't know that the same can be said for the Republican alternative. Let's start with purity. Many of you have seen the reports that there are negotiations to determine whether or not on this side of the aisle there can be a deal. Meeting of the minds, a grand bargain that would allow us to proceed with the speakership. And I want all of my colleagues to know, regardless of your perspective on me, how impure some of those negotiations have gone. The principal goal of the people who are objecting to Mr. McCarthy on the Republican side is that we don't believe the rules of this place unlock the potential of all of the members to be able to cast votes on individual bills and to offer amendments on Appropriations Acts. And we're also concerned about spending that has ballooned our debt and borrowed against the future generations of American citizens. And Mr. McCarthy said, well, goodness, to the objectors, why do you want to be on the Oversight and Judiciary Committee and you never submit your names to be on the Rules Committee or the Appropriations Committee? And so, gosh, if you'll get a list of folks who are willing to come early on fly-in days for rules and folks who are willing to take on the extra burden of our appropriators who work so hard, then I'll certainly work to do that. And so we endeavored in good faith and pure good faith to create that list. And then what did Mr. McCarthy do? He went out to the media, came to other members of the conference. They just want jobs for themselves. That is not pure.
You make an excellent partner.
Selflessness is not selling shares of yourself to the lobbyists, their bidding at the expense of the American people.
Wow, I'm glad you're
But there
on our
certainly
side.
is intent. And it's an intent driven almost exclusively by personal ambition. And that ambition is paralyzing the House now. Madam Clerk, at this time, there is great trust in Mr. Jordan, and that's why I am nominating him. And there is insufficient trust in Kevin McCarthy. There are some who have Mr. McCarthy who are working on perhaps changes to the rules, changes to circumstance that would convert the speakership from the great, powerful position it is now to more of a ceremonial position, almost akin to the speaker in the British House of Commons. I referred to it previously as a straitjacket that some of us are trying to construct with better rules and better personality, because we do not trust Mr. McCarthy.
that thing died with Faustus.
It can be right there for Matt Gaetz. Now, the vote is
special
underway.
occasions.
It's just
Crazy old bastard be smiling in his grave right now.
Anything changes.
If I left you something to bury.
For somebody
blow us all apart with that thing
McCarthy will be
just to keep these people from leaving.
And you thought Faustus was mad.
Orders are orders.
Do we want to go to this floor?
Come on,
guys,
Rumble.
too? I'm not,
This is way past wrong, and you know it. Here quickly. What the hell has gotten into you?
was elected as chairman.
Exactly.
If that device detonates,
We lose the bridge. We lose everyone here. We end this. Now.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Kevin Hearn will be a fighter for our national debt. I get texts on a regular basis at how inflation is hurting families, how grocery prices
We gotta
are
upgrade.
skyrocketing.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
He has crafted
What was it you
a
said?
budget that
You
balances
regret
and
not
will bring
finishing
that
me off
to the floor
before?
to
Put
help
up or
the
shut
American
up?
people.
I think
Madam
I'm gonna
Clerk,
carve that
I
one on your
nominate
tombstone.
Kevin Hearn as Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you got Hearn, you've got Jordan. They'll get some votes. I don't know if Donald will get some votes. My guess is it'll be 20 again. I don't know if anybody's flipping yet.
To delay the blast.
And I
At
will
least
say
long
this,
enough
you
to
know,
deal with crossbones.
I
These
actually I got a
computers
lot
are
of
not my
messages.
specialty.
People saying, "Hey, I've emailed my congressman, I've emailed my representative, I've sent them a message, I've called their offices, and
Just the
told them
boost
please
I
stop
need."
voting McCarthy." And so I imagine that they're being inundated at this point with messages, emails, phone calls, telling them have just decided we're not answering emails anymore. They told their staff don't even respond anymore. And people were calling in, and I mean, it's kind of a weird scenario because you're dealing with InfoWars that is like right here live. I mean, this is as live and transparent and connected to you, the audience. Like this is all.
Okay.
I'm up here behind the microphone, and we got the crew in here, switch in and running the cameras and everything. But this is a live show that it consists of millions of people. And so people were calling in yesterday when we get to talk. It was like the real Congress here. And people were calling in, and we were hoping to get Marjorie Taylor Greene on yesterday saying, you need to ask this, you need to say this, you need to do this, which of course is why she didn't come on. Now, I'm not blaming the audience for that. That's what we do here. We're open, we talk. And I don't know that that's the case, but basically, you know, we never got Marjorie Taylor Greene on, and her staff quit answering our calls. And I would always say, even when the callers were skeptical, I'd say, look, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's a good person. She has her reasons for voting for McCarthy again. Hopefully she can come on and explain it. Never came on. But I will say, if Marjorie votes for McCarthy again today, that's just a little concerning at this point to me. Again, I'm not changing tune on my general perspective from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I still think she's a good person. I still think she's one of the good guys. I don't think she's controlled opposition as others have suggested, and others have made even more aggressive suggestions about Marjorie Taylor Greene this week. I'm not on that board. But I will say at this point, why has Marjorie Taylor Greene not changed her vote? Why is she so loyal to Kevin McCarthy? I really at this point don't understand it. And that's because she hasn't offered an explanation. Now would be the day to switch your vote, Marjorie. Now would be the day to say, look, I was loyal to Kevin. I wanted to be part of this Republican Party that got behind Kevin. It's not working, and so I'm not going to be voting. We'll see if that's the story, but I
bleed my own blood.
Cobra Commander here with an important message to you. I have decided that all of you will take a special injection so that you will be safe. But the injection is not ready yet. And so, I need all of you to stay indoors for the next 15 days to flatten the curve. I am not myself. You to wear masks, and I also need you to only shop at mega corporations. That way we can consolidate control and bankrupt the world economy, leaving companies that only I own profitable. You will then be we can do this. Miserable lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very exciting development has encourage you all to go to InfoWarsStore.com and check it out for yourself because it is a very strong, high-quality formula. Down and out sleep liquid is very fast-acting, taken out of the tongue. It's got a very good dose of melatonin, passion flower, valerian root extract, lemon balm, and German chamomile. All of these compounds are documented on record. Cleaner, healthier sleep, and that is one of the biggest game changers out there with all the stress we have in this world. And we've got some other great sleep aids as well, and they're excellent. They're all different formulas. But this one is particularly the strongest one we have. So down and out, sold out for more than 5 months, is now back available at InfoWarsStore.com. So get better, deeper rest, boost your immune system, and support the InfoWar with down and out sleep support at InfoWars Store.
Spidey senses are tingling.
Eat the bugs, and you feel holes in nothing.
You will eat some bugs. You will eat some bugs.
What was the point of all this, Rumloaf? Is this what Lilith wanted from you? Chaos?
That's right. Let's promise.
Here's a little secret.
You're never gonna
I
eat
cannot
bugs.
carry what Lilith has a long time ago.
Freak humanizers.
Then why serve her?
I don't serve anybody.
Crickets. You start with
I
crickets.
work for Hydra,
Crickets in a
but I
beer.
don't even know what they are.
And then you kind of, move up to
This is your
tarantulas.
sad attempt at a blaze of
Go ahead.
glory?
You got it, pal. And it's better to go out with me.
Good?
But you.
Is that good, guys? Dinner.
Late.
You want to go? Want to share a spider? Hot? Fine. It's actually really good, the flavor.
Hornworms. They're still alive.
You have earned this.
The fried grasshopper these
Hail
are amazing. These are exquisite grasshoppers.
This is a powder derived from the mealworm, and it's a insect protein just been approved by the EU for human consumption.
You're not just getting me to eat dirt, are you?
No, man, I wouldn't play it.
These are grasshopper kebabs, teriyaki marinated.
It's about time.
I think that's gonna leave a mark. More hydrants.
No, I won't. I won't eat bugs. Nobody would eat bugs.
He set that bomb on such a short time. Had any intention of leaving here.
Of the New World Order.
Alex Radio gets it.
All right, the vote is underway. We have had one interesting development here. Byron Donalds gave his vote back to Kevin McCarthy. Boebert, Bishop, and I forget the others, and Gates just, so 4 other votes right now. Bishop, Boebert, Gates, the other name skips my head right now.
This shall be.
But Donald switches his vote back to McCarthy. Now, I want to get ahead of another thing as Lauren Boebert puts this message out last night. We're not, because this is all the naysayers to the 20 Republican holdouts are saying, you're just making a point, you're just grandstanding, you just want clicks, you just want campaign donations. I don't believe that for a second to be the case.
Boy, I hope
Lauren
Hydra
Boebert says
follows
we're not
proper
making a
concussion
point, we're making a
protocols.
change. I agree, and I would just say this to get ahead of an issue.
Take that.
To the Republicans, and I hope that they can get this message some way or another. Obviously,
It's
they're
about
voting
time.
right now, but
Time to bleed.
to the Republican holdouts,
Oh, that's not good.
if McCarthy does end up becoming Speaker without the concessions somehow, even if he becomes Speaker today or next week, and we don't get all the concessions that we want, that are common sense
Hope
stuff,
you're ready for more.
do not put your tail behind your legs. Do not feel ashamed. Do not feel embarrassed, because you've already been given the next winning argument
It's
platform.
too bad your friends have to go
If
down.
McCarthy wins,
But at least you
the
won't have to
Republican
carry them on your
holdouts need
conscience
to come
for
out
long.
and make a joint statement and just say,
We came
hey,
here
look,
by choice.
we
and
tried
we
to do
will all
something for the
lead
American
together.
people. We tried to finally get some
Never say
change
die,
instituted
right?
in D.C., and we failed. The swamp won again. So here's our message to the American people. Watch as D.C., specifically conservatives and Republicans, watch as DC
Your
politics
time has come.
doesn't change at all. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Because now you put the onus back on the GOP and back on Kevin McCarthy to actually at least pretend like they care about the American people. And they won't. And you'll see politics as usual in D.C., and you'll see massive omnibus spending for 24-hour freedom, and you'll see primary funding going to the deep state swamp nominations, not the grassroots conservatives. And it'll just be the same thing in D.C. And so I just hope that if McCarthy does end up getting beyond the threshold here, that the Republicans don't hide and quiver, but instead stand tall and say, okay, hey, we put forth a good faith effort. We tried to do something to get some change finally in D.C. It failed. Now you watch your government, business as usual. They'll add trillions to the debt. Nothing about the border. They'll primary grassroots conservatives out of the process, and D.C. will continue to dominate the rest of the country. So enjoy it, watch it. We tried to stop it, we failed. We'll try again next time. Simple as that. That's all they have to do. Now, I think actually, even though that's what I would do and what I think they should do, I will tip my hat to Matt Gaetz, who I think has made another move of political brilliance here.
Maybe that's giving
Representative Matt Gaetz threatens to resign from Congress if Republicans give Democrats control of the chamber just to elect McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Again, I think this is brilliant. Even though I'm saying, hey, don't put your tail behind your legs and between your legs and run, I don't really view that's what Gaetz is doing. I think Gaetz is just going all in here and saying, hey, look, if the Democrats are willing to get McCarthy in, or Republicans are willing to reach across the table and threaten us by putting a Democrat in charge, then fine, let them do it. We'll call it out, and I'll walk away from the whole thing.
Try this on for size.
I think it's another act of political brilliance from Matt Gaetz because it highlights the issue here.
You guys are really
that
going to get hurt if you're not
McCarthy is the swamp candidate. Clearly McCarthy is who the Democrats even want in there. I get, I'm sure they'd prefer Jeffries, but they'd prefer McCarthy as the one is with better odds than Jeffries. So that will just highlight that issue, and that's going to be the key here. Now, the one thing I wish the holdouts would do better is voicing their concerns and voicing these concessions better so the American people understand. The American people, though, are really tuned in more than ever, and I think they just understand, generally speaking, why we don't like Kevin McCarthy and why he represents the swamp and why he represents the D.C. elite. I think the American people understand that, basically speaking, but they need to understand the issues here better so that they can understand if, God forbid, McCarthy gets in and railroads D.C. down our throat again, we'll know how and why it happened. With the primary spending, with the unable to remove the speaker when he goes rogue or goes swamp, and the border and all these other issues.
Nice. Let's do this.
Quickly, here's some other headlines. Why do 201 GOP representatives continue to vote for Kevin McCarthy, who gets an F in Liberty Score from Conservative Review? Conservative Review, a great outlet if you want to look at voting records, absolutely. And they've got their own system for analyzing voting records with the principles of liberty. And Kevin McCarthy gets an F. Of course he does. He's a swamp creature. He's the LeBron James of special interest money and doling it out to who will work for the swamp instead of the American people. But here come the threats. Conservatives warn of doomsday scenario if McCarthy fails in speaker race where Democrats neuter GOP power. Doomsday scenario. Folks, in case you haven't noticed, it's already a doomsday scenario in D.C. Debt is it's off the map. It's ridiculous. $1.7 trillion spending bills that you can't even read before you vote for them. Congress is already a mess. The government is already a doomsday scenario. Whether it's McCarthy in there or not, that doesn't change. McCarthy extends the doomsday scenario, and they just tell you the exact opposite. And I'm not surprised by the names and the figures doing it, like Fox News' Brian Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade labels anti-McCarthy GOP representatives insurrectionists. Doesn't surprise me one bit. Brian Kilmeade is a D.C. East Coast elitist. Always
he just fell through the ground.
To dictate policy for his
Vitamin.
Big table at Fox News, his big radio show at Fox News.
Yo.
He likes to dictate to you how things should go. Brian Kilmeade likes to dictate down to the people what you
I
should
hate
think,
bugs.
what you should do when it comes to politics.
See if we can smoke them.
And we're reversing that trend, Brian. But I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised by any of this. And you may remember on Monday when I came on and ignore the hemming and hawing, ignore the threats, ignore the doomsday this, doomsday that. It's 2016 with Trump all over again. It's the same DC elites, East Coast elites, swamp DC creatures that didn't want Trump in 2016 that are now McCarthy's the best option in 2023. Don't buy it.
There he is. Oh, there he is.
Because these are just elitists who like being able to feel powerful by dictating policy and politics from the top down. And of course, the swamp pays them by giving them all the swamp creature guests for their TV shows and their radio shows, and that makes them feel prestigious. And I'm really upset that Donald's changed his vote, especially after the attacks he delivered. Democrat Cori Bush claims black Representative Byron Donalds perpetuating white supremacy after historic speaker nomination. Imagine, you know, because they love black people so much, right? So you had a black man nominated by the Democrats and a black man nominated by the Republicans. But one of the black men was called a white supremacist. You know which one it was? Of course you do. It was the Republican.
Oh, right on. We did it.
So that's upsetting.
Did that actually work?
Byron Donalds switched his vote because of the Democrat lies and attacks on him. I'm just sad he did, considering.
The core! It's overloading!
He's complaining that McCarthy can't get in. I said one of the big stories going into 2023 now is the market is finally going to catch up post-COVID and post-Biden. And now we got all kinds of news on that. And the guest that's going to be joining me in the next hour, we're going to be talking about that with him as well. But ladies and gentlemen, remember Infowars.com is supported by you. We don't have big DC interests. We don't have big donors. You notice the commercials here aren't big pharmaceutical commercials or big Hollywood commercials or big food commercials. No. We have our own supplements that we sell to you at the best price, highest quality supplements, lowest price at InfoWarsStore.com. And that's how we fund ourselves.
Not in my
and
lifetime.
It's not easy to do with the giant legal bills, the giant electricity bills that are going up now, the giant bills for the data that we use to house our own websites. We don't get to use YouTube. We don't get to use these big platforms, Facebook, to house our stuff. We had to build our own. That costs a lot of money. And so when you shop at InfoWarsStore.com, you support us. Or you can go right to InfoWarsStore.com and just make a direct donation. You don't want to get the great vitamin mineral fusion and start every day with it like I do? Fine. You can support us still. You can go and make a direct donation at InfoWarsStore.com. But I suggest buying the supplements because they work great. DNA Force Plus, the Real Red Pill Plus, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, all 50% off right now. Top-rated, top-selling supplements. All 50% off right now at InfoWarsStore.com. But those sales are going to be coming to an end very shortly. Alex may decide to do that as soon as he gets back in the office. All right, continuing to monitor the vote, and then a guest joining me coming up in the next hour.
Okay, we'll save it here.
Corrine in Massachusetts, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Honored to be talking with you, Alex. I've been listening since 2016, and I am a financial supporter ever since.
Thank you.
I'd like
And
to
we'll see you
promote
guys
your
next
nitric
episode,
oxide
all right?
product. I actually